Hello everyone, welcome to another video for the One Piece trading card game. In this video, we will be reviewing the final leader from the third set, Charlotte Linlin. Let's begin. Charlotte Linlin is a special attribute for Emperors and Big Mom Pirates trait leader. She has the ability Don X2 when attacking, pay 2, you may trash one card from your hand. If you have one or less cards in your life area, place up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life area. Linlin is a black and yellow leader, which means she will start with 4 life. My first impressions on this leader were, this leader is insanely broken. My impressions now on this leader is this leader is just pretty broken. It turns out that this leader can still get aggroed down since the healing is only 1 a turn and you do lose a card from hand to do it. But from the sheer amount of playables and how pushed yellow is, somehow giving yellow the best few black cards makes it even better. When we looked at Arlong, he had a lot of yellow, yes, but he was still pretty focused on green since some of the new green cards had a lot of synergy with him and they were kind of built for him. This is an in general leader, which means we can use whatever card we want. And it's for the 2 most push colors in the game, since they were the 2 colors that weren't in the game in the first set. Now, are there bad matchups? Yes. Can this deck beat literally everything? No. But when push comes to shove, this leader is really good. Our example deck list for Charlotte Linlin includes 4 set 3 Pudding, 4 set 3 Sanji, 4 set 3 Gillette, 3 set 2 Helmeppo, 3 starter deck Zeus, 3 starter deck Prometheus, 1 set 3 Napoleon, 4 starter deck Daifuku, 4 set 2 Borsellino, 3 starter deck Charlotte Linlin, 2 set 3 Isho, 2 set 3 Charlotte Linlin, 3 6 King Pistol, 3 Power Mochi, 2 Tempest Kick Sky Slicer, 1 Thunderbolt, and 4 Soul Pocus. Taking a closer look at this deck, we can see a few of the staples. Pudding, Sanji, and Daifuku cement themselves as the most played yellow characters probably ever, and Soul Pocus cements itself as probably the best event in the game. We have a few other yellow cards that we've seen in some of the other decks: Gillette, Zeus, Prometheus, Power Mochi, and both of the Linlins, just very good yellow cards that probably won't find a home in every yellow deck, but are definitely choices that should be made to include some of them in some situations. Some yellow cards that aren't in most decks. I don't think Napoleon was in the mono yellow Linlin deck, because Napoleon doesn't really do much. That's why he's only on 1 copy here. He just gives plus 1k, but sometimes that 1k is useful, and having a 1 of isn't terrible in a deck like this, since we are going to be drawing a lot of cards off of Sanji and Daifuku, as well as the game is going to go pretty late since our leader likes to give us extra life. Looking at some of the black cards, Helmeppo has really good synergy here, being a trigger to put himself into play, as well as giving us a shrinking effect other than our Isho. Borsalino is definitely the best black card in set 2, so he has to be here at 4 copies, as well as he is himself a pretty good control card. And since this is a control deck, a slower deck that he can get a lot of use in, he needs to be here at 4 copies. Now we're on to the last 3 cards in his deck, 3 brand new black cards. Isho is a Mihawk level threat, being a 8 cost 9k, with Done X1, your turn, all of your opponent's characters have 3 less cost. I could stop there and this card would be playable. However, they decided to give Isho the effect: if your opponent has 6 cards in their hand, your opponent discards 2 cards. For no reason. So late game, or even mid game, this can ruin your opponent's turn. It can ruin your opponent's entire game, because they'll be forced to discard some of their most important cards. Especially if they only have 6, there are definitely some hard choices to make, and Isho can cement those wins in for you, since in addition to having that strong effect, he is a 9k. 6 King Pistol is here because it's a free event. It pretty much turns your stuff that can't counter into a 1k, because you can think of this as a 2k that you also have to play another 1k with, which really isn't too bad, as well as its trigger is a little bit of removal for small things, and it does replace itself as well, so it's never bad to hit off of life. The final new card in this deck, I just realized there is one more as well that I've not talked about, but I'll talk about this one first. Tempest Kick Sky Slicer. This is a 2 cost event that lets you KO a character of cost 0 or a stage of cost 3 or less. Most, if not all, stages in the game are currently cost 3 or less. The only other effect we have that removes stages is from set 2. I forget what it's called. I think it's like Sacred Jewel something. It's Borsalino's special attack. And that card is not good. However, this card is extremely good because it has the flexibility of being a removal spell as well as being stage removal. In addition to that, because it gets even better, this card has the trigger to draw 2 cards for no reason. For some reason, they were like, okay, we pushed yellow a little too much. Let's push black even more by giving them a hand denial super rare and a black card that when it's taken off life, they draw 2. For no reason. I don't understand why that card exists. Originally, I thought 6 King Pistol would be that good, but it turned out to just be okay. The blue one is better because you get to play in Ivankov, who makes really good value off of it. But Tempest Kick Sky Slicer and Isho just make black stupid. And they're not in Rob Lucci since he doesn't really have room, and he already has card draw and he doesn't need stage removal. Although you could play them if you wanted to. But since this is a slower deck, you can play Isho with no downside, and you can play Tempest Kick with no downside, because if you ever take it off life, it replaces itself, and you're probably going to see it in your life at one point because of Sanji and Daifuku or your leader's ability. So you either have free card draw or stage removal, the hardest thing to deal with in the entire game. So, with that said, we still have one more card. And this is a card that isn't like amazing. I just think 1 copy is pretty good, and that's Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's a 2-cost event where you trash the top card of your life to KO a 5-drop, and it has the same trigger of KOing a 5-drop or less, but you don't have to take life. I think this is just a good card in this deck, so I'm playing 1 copy. But this deck is pretty much just every pushed yellow card plus the few really pushed black cards. And it makes this deck stupid. Yes, you can still lose. You can still get aggroed down. But Borsalino helps you stabilize. Gillette helps you stabilize. You have some pretty good removal. You can't really play Thunderbolt in the aggro matchup. That's why it's only on 1. And at some point, you just like hit 2 Soul Focus off your life, and your opponent either takes 2 or you just heal for free. And this deck is stupid. If you wanted to play a control deck, I would say this one. If you wanted to play any deck, I would say play a deck from set 3, because they all seem really good. Ace is probably the best, if not one of the best, aggro leaders in the game. Nami is playing Solitaire. Iceberg isn't as good as I originally thought, so you don't have to play him. But, like, I would rather play a set 3 leader over any other leader. Maybe except, like, Zoro, right? But even then, you could just play Ace and one-shot someone with his 20 removal spells. So, I don't know. This set is the make or break. This deck is the make or break. If this deck destroys the meta and there's only like 5 decks, because like this deck can't super beat Ace. This deck can't super beat Nami, right? But those are like the only 2 bad matchups. Maybe Zoro. 3 bad matchups. That's it. Newgate is like close. He's a little slower of an aggro deck, so you can kind of get there against him. And the Isho puts in work in that matchup. And no other control that can beat you. The only way like green can beat you is if they draw literally all 4 of their Eustace. And like 2 of their, maybe 1 Odin. Odin's pretty good against this deck, but like those are like random situations that you can just still react to and beat. Like you can beat the 1-off Odin. You can beat 2 copies of Eustace. You can still beat the aggro decks. I know I'm going on too long in this section, but one of these videos has to be a longer one because I just rant. I'm going to end the rant here. Let's go to the outro. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. I probably shouldn't go on too long on this outro since the explain portion of the deck took 10 minutes. And I want to keep these fairly short, which this one is not going to be short. But I wanted to keep them all a little short, since most people just skip to the deck list anyway, and that's it. I don't think it matters. But for the people that do watch, I'm sorry that it was 10 minutes and I went on a rant. But we're done with set 3 reviews. There isn't too much left. I don't think I'm going to do the black and yellow new starter decks because they just add on to the rant of black and yellow are stupid. Why are we giving them more things? Nothing in the black deck that we've seen so far impresses me, but some of the yellow cards seem really good. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll be making Flesh and Blood from now on, probably. Like I said in the hour-long video, maybe I'll come back for One Piece once or twice for like a chopper leader or something else, but that's really it. So, I thank you all for watching. I hope you stick around for this channel's future, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.